Alright, I've got another rant this time. I'm still pissed off at people who've never been punched in the face declaring themselves honorable warriors. Like, shut the fuck up, you're a fat Reddit atheist, you've never known hardship except what you caused yourself. It's typical leftist coded rhetoric, pure virtue signaling off stolen valor. I swear, the people that talk themselves up to be the same as someone who's a skilled and courageous actual fighting combatant are the furries of fighting. And it's not like I'm unwilling to say you're a warrior if you face 2 or 3 times in real fistfights even. Face danger in real fistfights 2 to 3 times even. I'm willing to fucking limbo bar that shit. Which is a limbo bar is basically a 2 poles with a bar that gets lower and lower as you bend backwards to go under it, and so on. So the idea is it gets really low. But these people don't even pass that muster. And then they think they're the absolute height of fucking wisdom, saying things like, a real fighter never fights. It's like saying, real robbers, burglars, thieves, and pirates never steal. And it's like, make the nightmares of linguistically stupid furries stop. Maybe we should also start calling actual furries stolen valour. I don't know. It just pisses me off. Yeah. It's trying to get the prestige of something without actually being that thing. And that's what pisses me off the most. It's dishonorable, truly dishonorable, in the name of looking to be perceived as honor. This is my version of being pissed off at stolen valor. I know actual war-fighting combat veterans get pissed off at people that give themselves medals and then parade around in fake uniforms or uniforms they bought off of eBay or something. And it's a real god-awful situation. Yeah. This is not to say that I'm totally against religious or religious and spiritual traditions using martial language to describe their situation. Because I understand that if you're a person like a missionary for spreading the word of Christ, or like a priest working in a rough neighborhood, you can face real danger, and you often deal with funerals and death and so on, even if you can't necessarily physically hurt someone else. But for those people, I fully expect them to understand that they're not actually warriors. They can use the language of warriors, but they're not actually warriors. That should always be in the back of their minds, even as they're using the language of warriors. It should be noted that the Old Testament does, in fact, according to Pilgrim's Pass, and he's right about this, refer to actual warriors, sort of like the Iliad and the Odyssey. The representation of Jesus Christ from kind, compassionate, gentle, a little fiery with his words against the Pharisees and a few other people, but generally very kind, compassionate, and peaceful, gentle, and so on, for the vast majority of people. He's not a warrior in his ministry before his crucifixion. After his crucifixion, he's faced death and suffering directly. And then the thing that makes him a warrior, in the true sense, if you believe in this sort of thing, is that in the book of Revelation, at the end of the world, he comes back and he destroys the wicked to preserve the righteous. And that's a key component of good warrior behavior, is destroying the wicked to spare the righteous from the wicked's untamed violence compared to the good warriors, focused, disciplined, justice-driven violence. And I think I already mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. And basically, what goes on is there's a duality to the warrior. Ares, the Greek god of war, is co-god of war with Athena, who's the goddess of war. And Athena is more the strategic and tactical sort of wisdom part of war, whereas Ares is the bloodshed and the carnage. And basically, I didn't understand why people worshipped Ares in ancient Greece if that's all he is. And then I stumbled across like a decade later or something, a few years ago, that Ares is also the god of justice. So there's a duality to the warrior, and it's violence and giving people what they deserve. Heinlein says violence is the ultimate arbiter of the world, and I get that it's the final arbiter, but it's not the one you want to resort to as quickly as possible. And also, I might have mentioned it already, but there's a bit of there's a degree of body and spirit in a warrior. And the body is the particular specific manifestation of existence, and the spirit is the general theme or trend or meta of existence. And that's how I understand the Christians' worldly, fleshly description, like words to describe things, versus the spiritual way to describe things. But the warrior is bordering both or between the two, and has to combine them in himself. Opposite poles of, or like different modes of existence. And that means he has to know the technical skills of weapons and which weapons work against which other weapons. He has to maintain the weapons. He has to know how to move with the weapons. These are all like basic skills and so on. And then he also has to learn the flow of battle and how to read a battle and direct masses of troops to subtly, usually against another skilled strategist or warrior, defeat the enemy through outthinking them, even if you're stronger, even if you're weaker, even if you're equal strength. Same makeup, different makeup of troops, doesn't matter. You have to outthink the enemy. So that's the body and the spirit, the particular and the general, the manifestation and the trend, and so on. The location and the direction. Location and direction. And that's how I understand Christian worldly, fleshly versus spiritual now. That's my understanding of it. I get it kind of finally, I think. And also my rant on stolen valor, and the nature of a warrior and what makes him unique to everyone else is that he cuts out cancerous people from humanity, and also one of the reasons why warriors make good peacemakers is because they understand what it means to fight and what drives people to fight, and they can convince people better by knowing about the specifics of those situations, how to find peace in a way that they actually can agree with on some level. And that's why societies crumble when there's no wars for a while and so on. It's not that war is great, it's that it teaches necessary hard lessons about life and human motivation and so on that leaks into justice and policing and so on. And the more people in a culture that have an honorable sense of justice and are courageous and skilled at combating evil physically, then the more often a bad person or a psychopath or a mass murderer or one of those packy grooming gangs um, uh, meets one of them, then there's a shotgun effect where you have way more chances of some justice-driven hero hitting the target and destroying the evil psychopaths malevolently abusing everyone else. And you shotgun scatter that with as many people as possible in society ready and capable of doing exactly that. And that's one of the reasons why we value masculinity particularly. And that's why we say masculinity isn't a bully thing. It's not necessarily entirely Andrew Tate. It's more like Nick Freitas or C.S. Lewis or J.R.R. Tolkien.